Okay, so here we gotta take this plate off, which I hope it's not too much trouble. Which I'm gonna take. We're gonna take this screw off. And pull these hoses off. I know some of this I'm gonna be editing out, so. And we're changing a solenoid. So what we have to do is take these bolts off, all the way around, pull this plate off to get to the shift solenoid. So what we got to do here is we got to take out the caliper. I'm gonna pull off, I think I'm gonna pull the whole strut out from the top. That way we won't mess up the alignment. Disconnect the brakes and stuff. The sway bar, the tie rod in, and pop the axle out. Once we pop the axle out, then we'll take all the plastic off around here so we can see a visual of that part, and then we'll take that part off. Okay, so now we're taking off the brake caliper bracket. It's being held on by two bolts, one here and one here. We're gonna take these two bolts off to remove this bracket. 15 millimeters. All right, and we'll take this wrench like this, and we're gonna put another wrench on the end of that to give us more leverage if you don't have a breaker bar or anything, and that's easy. So I'm gonna take these two bolts off to remove this bracket. Okay, so there is the brake caliper bracket. This is the brake caliper bracket. We just took that off with the two 16 bolts. I'm putting them back in place so I don't know where they go. They're the 15 millimeter bolts. I'm sorry, I keep saying 16, but they're 15 millimeters. I'm gonna set that to the side. Okay, so we're gonna take off this spindle nut here in the middle.
He's a YouTuber.
With a 36 millimeter axle nut socket. Okay. Let's take off the rotor, set it to the side. Now we have to take off this screw right here to remove the lower control arm and ball joint. We're gonna take off the outer tie rod end by removing this nut here at the bottom. We're gonna remove the bottom nut right here to take off the outer tie rod end. Okay, so I'm taking off this outer tie rod end nut. It is an 18 millimeter. And righty tighty, lefty loosey. Oh, what you do with that nut? Yeah, make sure you put on. We can find it. Now, actually, I need to put that jack back up on the car to make sure I got double support. Okay. So once we take that off, we're gonna take our ball joint remover and the hammer. We're gonna tap it on. As we tap, it'll force it up out of there. Like so. And I'm take the nut and put it back on the end so we'll know where it's at. Like so, and move it out the way. Okay, so you want to take the nut out of your lower control ball joint. Really should hang this with a wire out the way. Take our ball joint puller, and we're gonna do the same thing, huh? We got that loose and partially out the way. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take the screws off the top of the strut, take any hoses or anything that's connected to it loose, and then we put the strut out the way, and it should just come off the ball joint. gonna take off the sway bars here from that nut, which looks like it could be an 18 millimeter, and it is. So we're removing the nut, pull it out. Okay, now that that's loose, we're gonna go up top and take out, there's 3 strut bolts to take it out. I could take it loose here from these bolts here, but that will affect the alignment. So I don't wanna bother the alignment. So I'm gonna go up top, take off the 3 bolts from there, pull the strut down, pull it out and off the lower control arm. So we're gonna take out these 3 bolts right here, which is holding up the strut, and they're 13 millimeters. Okay, so now I have the 3 bolts removed from the strut, and we're gonna pull it down from the top. I really need to get my work light out. Come on, Ty. Put your foot on it and push it down.
This?
Yeah. Okay, they ain't gonna go. We're gonna have to pull that. We're gonna have to get that bottom control on. Now we're gonna put this nut on here so we won't damage the thread. Just the top. Off the axle. I know a brass hammer or something else would be better for this, but I don't necessarily have one. Okay, so now we have the strut off. Let's set that to the side. Now we have to take out the axle. So now we have the axle out. Next is to take off the transfer case. Okay, what are we doing now? We're removing this bracket. We're gonna move that motor mount. We're gonna take all them bolts over there off the top of this frame, this pan. And we're gonna remove the pan to expose the shift solenoid. So as you see, he's removing the brackets. And these are 13mm bolts. So now that we got the bracket off and out the way, we're gonna take this mount, transmission mount off. Then we're gonna take off this shifter. And then we're gonna go and then take all the bolts off that's holding on this cover and drop this cover and see if we can get to the shift solenoid. These bolts right here on the transmission mounts are 15mm. So I'm gonna take these loose and move this mount out the way. This one is loose. Now that these bolts are out the transmission mount, we can move it out the way by removing these bolts here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. We're going to remove those 4 bolts. So now we're going to take out the shifter sensor. And we're using a 15mm socket for that. Okay, so we took off that, and now we need to take off 2 13mm bolts, and we'll be able to pull that shifter sensor out the way. Okay, so that's the shift sensor. It's been removed. And the only thing that we have left is to take off. Let's take out these bolts that's in the shift solenoid cover, and we should be able to get to the shift solenoid. 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts up here. 5, 6, 2 bolts on the side make 6. You can't see the other side from this point of view, but I believe it might be 2 more. That'll be 8. And probably 1, 2, 3, 4 at the bottom makes 12. So we have 12 bolts to take off, and then this cover will come out. And first, what we're gonna do is we're going to put the jack under the transmission to give the transmission some kind of support, so it won't just be hanging. So now we got 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts under here at the bottom to take off. We have, and they are 10 millimeters. And 10 millimeter. Okay, we're removing the last bolts out of the cover. That was the last bolt. Now we're gonna remove the cover. We have finally got the cover off, and as you see, there's the shift solenoids right there. So we could possibly just take it off from here without having to take the whole dealio down. But there's one right here and one right there. The only two that I do see. So we're gonna replace it, and then we'll go back to putting everything back together. And here's the new shift solenoid. And shift solenoid A. I'm not gonna take the whole thing down. All thing we're gonna do is pull out this little clips and slide in the solenoid in place, and then plug it in. Look at that. The whole thing just came loose as I was trying to pull it out. So, well, we know it's that one. So that's the one. Here's the old ones. That one's burnt out, as you see. This is the other old one. So as soon as we get the new one, we'll push it in here and put the clip here. Like there's the clip for this one. You just pull it out with some pliers. Put some needle nose pliers. And the way you do it is, I'll show you with the old one. You'll just push it in here. Simply push it in. Put the clip here. And then plug it in. And that's how you do the shift solenoid. And then you put everything back together. We have the new solenoid. Since we're replacing it, we might as well replace them both. Makes sense since we're already in here. And like I was saying earlier, you simply take this solenoid, slide it in place, take the clip, slide it in place, and put on the connector. Simple as that. So now we replace both solenoids, this one and this one. And now we'll clean up the area around it, any trash in it, the gasket surface and everything, and then we'll put the cover back on it. So as you see, we have everything together. Have the plate back on, the axle back in, got the steering knuckle back together, the strut is back in, rotor back on, brake caliper is back on. As you see, we have the cover back on. We're putting the fluid in. Then we just have to connect the wires, put the bracket back on, put the battery cover back on, put the battery back in, and we're complete. Then we'll start it up and give it a test drive and see how it shifts and how it works. And we're also gonna make sure the check engine light doesn't come back on. As you can see, this is how you remove and replace a shift solenoid. It was solenoid A, but we replaced both solenoids. That is a complete shift solenoid remove and replace on a 2010 2.4 liter ECOTEC engine. And we're gonna finish getting this up. I'll show y'all that in just a few. We're gonna start it up and then we're gonna test drive it. Okay, so we got everything back in. We got the battery back in place. All the wires hooked up. Everything's all connected. Start up, no problem. We're running. Everything is back connected. We're just now finishing. We got everything together, it's running. We just put antifreeze in there, put transmission fluid, hooked up all the wires. Battery's connected. We found the bolt for the brakes. Tire on, it's on the ground. Now we're gonna take it for a test drive.